Hey, what's the best grip in tennis on the forehand? Today I'm going to have the Eastern and semi-Western grip battle it out for the title. So if you're ready, let's get started. Okay guys, so lots of times people want to know, hey, what's the best grip I should be using to play awesome tennis? And what are the pros using nowadays? Well, most pros are out there either playing with an Eastern grip like Roger Federer or the semi-Western grip like Rafael Nadal. The grips that are becoming kind of outdated are the Continental grip, and I'll get into why that is we'll just kind of get into really quickly why we want to rule these two grips out if we're just starting out trying to play tennis or we're thinking about a change, is the Continental grip and the full Western grip, okay? Most players out there are using the semi-Western and Eastern grip. So why would we rule out the Continental grip? I mean, great players like Johnny Mack use it. Lots of players used to use that Continental grip, and what was great about the Continental grip is that you could play the entire game of tennis without changing the grip. I just demoed everything, forehand volleys, backhand volleys, serve, didn't have to change the grip. All right, so you'd say, well, that makes sense. If I don't have to do any changes, why wouldn't I continue to use that? Well, it's hard to be aggressive and swing out, and the bounces are a lot more true on the court you're playing. In general, the courts you're playing on these days, they're slower, and the bounce is a much better bounce. The players back in the day, they had to play on things like, they'd have to go to gymnasiums where they're playing on wood floors or playing on grass that was very fast and crummy, and so they weren't getting true bounces, so it made more sense that you're in one grip. But what ended up happening is as play kind of slowed down on the courts, and people like McEnroe came out, and he ended up playing against people with more power, people could swing at the ball harder because they were getting a truer bounce. He had trouble keeping that ball in with the Continental grip because the racket typically would open up, and it's very hard to keep that ball in over and over again, especially if you want to take some nice swipes at the ball as well. So now you're finding that players tend to be in that Eastern grip like Pete Sampras and Roger Federer, or the semi-Western grip. So let's get into what is the Eastern grip first. So the Eastern grip is, if you were to take, I like to call this the webbing in your hand. I know people explain it differently, Bevels and all that stuff. I'm going to try and make it as easy as possible. So right here, I'm going to take the webbing in my hand, run it down, all right? Now these are the Bevels, the little grooves in your racket, as you can see as they go around. They're called Bevels. This is bevel 1, and as you can see, the kind of that webbing in my hand, it's right in between that bevel 1. Now, if I were to just do a little bit of a turnover this way, now it's going into that Eastern grip. All right, if you are a righty, I'll show you as a righty. Again, it's the same thing. I'm right here holding on the racket, going down in a shake hands position. That's the Continental grip. And then if I just do a little turnover to the next bevel, now I'm in that Eastern grip. And what is that doing? Why is that better for me than staying in that Continental grip? Is it's going to, just making that little quarter turn in my hand, is going to turn the strings down slightly. And this is a very good thing, because now what I can do is, because the strings are facing down slightly, now I can come up and put some topspin on the ball. But I think here's one of the pros over using a semi-Western grip, is it's easier to flatten out the ball. If you were to watch Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal play, you notice that Rafa has more topspin and his ball goes higher over the net, but Roger is able to flatten out the ball and hit through it more, but he can also put spin on the ball as well. You also want to look at Pete Sampras's game. Again, Pete could put topspin on the ball, but he could just blister the ball, really bludgeon it and flatten it out. So it is easier to flatten it out. Now, I find where the weaknesses are with an Eastern grip for many players. We're not talking about players like a Roger Federer. We're talking about our club players, okay? So I know it's hard to do, but try not to compare yourself to Roger Federer right now. I certainly don't. And so if you have that Eastern grip, it's going to tend to feel great as the ball comes at your waist, okay? It's going to feel great at the waist. It's going to feel great at the knees too. As you start to get up above your shoulders, for many, the Eastern grip gets hard to control, and this is where you might start spraying balls. And also, for some people who are kind of like in a weak Eastern grip, your strings can tend to open up and fly. But the advantages over the semi-Western grip is you can put topspin on it, but you can also flatten the ball out. And it also does make, especially transitioning from the baseline to the net, it makes the grip change really easy because now you just have that little turn. So it could be easier to go into your volley grip, your slice grips, and even over to your backhand grip. Now the semi-Western grip is actually personally my favorite grip because I think you can still flatten out the ball pretty good, but it's a little tougher to do, and you're able to hit a lot more topspin on the ball. And the way that you would find I have a very easy way to find the semi-Western grip, because a lot of people get confused. It sounds complicated. Semi-Western grip, what's that? All you gotta do is put the racket down and then pick it up, and you hold it like you're holding a frying pan. Now you're in the semi-Western grip, okay? And you can see that by holding that, as I go back, those strings are now really facing the ground. So as I come up, it's almost hard for me to open up the racket. Like I gotta really tweak my wrist here to open up. Where if you're in a Continental grip, it's really easy to open up. An Eastern grip, again, a little tweak can open up the strings, make the ball fly. That's why sometimes Federer, sprays some balls. Where if you're in that semi-Western grip, you have to really do something weird to kind of open up. So in general, you're going to be able to keep the topspin on the ball and keep a lot more balls in play with that. Now, the disadvantages of a semi-Western grip, especially if you're going from an Eastern grip or a Continental grip and you're trying to go way over to a semi-Western grip, if you're somebody who's had a weak Eastern grip, because you kind of, depending on how you're moving around the bevel, it can be kind of weak almost towards Continental, or you have a Continental grip and you try and go way over to semi-Western, it's going to feel really awkward for you, and you're going to tend to hit a lot of balls in the net because you're not used to moving the bevel over, and the more the strings face down, if you hit on top of the ball is going to go down. So that's certainly, especially in the beginning, it's tougher, I think, to learn the semi-Western than to go over to an Eastern grip if you've been in a Continental grip. So you have that semi-Western grip. The disadvantages are it's harder to flatten out the ball, and it's harder to learn in the beginning if you used to use something else. Now, if you've never played tennis before, I think actually the semi-Western grip is super easy to pick up. Maybe the easiest grip to pick up if you've never played tennis before, but if you have played and you're trying to make a change, semi-Western can be challenging. All right, now here's another advantage of the semi-Western grip is it feels really good at the waist. It feels pretty good at the knees. Now, people used to say, oh man, when I was growing up, like that semi-Western grip was a no-no because they say you can't make low balls with it. Well, I find that the Western grip is still pretty hard to get down to low balls, but tennis has changed over the years. The courts are not as fast as they used to be. The ball bounces more true. It bounces higher. So even the low balls typically are not as low as they once were, not coming in as fast. So I find that even getting down for low balls with a semi-Western grip isn't as challenging as it once was when it was a different game. And also now the high ball also feels really good out there on a semi-Western grip. So I just think you can hit all kinds of levels easier. Now, another disadvantage though is now it becomes tougher to transition your game. If you have that semi-Western grip, I find a lot of people with that semi-Western grip, when they start, they come up to the net and they're like this, and all of a sudden they flub volleys, okay? You want to make sure that you get really good with your grip changes from forehand to volley, from forehand to, now here's an interesting thing, you can decide what you want to do. You can actually, many people do this, Kohlschreiber does, you can hit a forehand, watch, this is going to freak you out, you can hit a forehand in the semi-Western grip and then turn over and hit a one-handed topspin without changing. Let me show you that again. Watch this. It's not a magic trick. I'm not changing. I'm here. I'm going to hit a topspin, semi-western, and come over here and hit a backhand. And if you're here, see now here, if you have a two-hander, this might be a little too spinny if you don't change your grip, so you might want to do a little bit of a change. So it is harder for changes. Also, when you're coming from the serve, which you'll be in that continental grip, and then to find the semi-western grip. So if you like the idea of the semi-western grip, I recommend that you spend some time off the court and do lots of shadow strokes and work on your changes, because you are going to have to change grips a little more on the semi-western grip. Be a little more versatile, a little quicker, because you can't go out there and just use your forehand grip for the entire match. You are going to have to make changes, and you have to be used to those changes, ready for those changes. If I'm going to try and build a junior from the ground up, or even if it's an adult player that's never played before, and especially if they like come take a lesson from me because they're so excited because what they're watching on TV, they want to look like that, I'm going to start them out in a semi-western grip. And that's my favorite grip overall to start with, and that's where most tennis players are playing right now. But hey, Roger Federer, right? I mean, arguably the greatest of all time, he uses that Eastern grip. So especially if you're somebody who has played a long time, you start out, you're 50, 60, maybe even 70, 80 years old, and you've used the continental grip, and you say, well, I want to play a little more modern, I would first probably move you over to an Eastern grip first, get used to that, maybe we go to the semi-western, or maybe we don't. If it works for Pete, if it works for Roger, it could work for you too. So my final verdict is, even though my semi-western grip is probably my favorite grip to teach, I think that they are both fantastic grips. You can get a lot of great results. It really just depends on what type of style player you want to be as well, so think about that. What are you more natural towards? Do you like to flatten the ball out, come forward? Do you like to stay at the baseline, right? These are all things that you want to consider when you're deciding what grip you're ultimately going to use on the forehand. So I hope this made sense. I hope this can take your forehand to the next level. And if you want to go to another level, up to 2 levels in 12 months or less, I have a free 8-part training series. After you like this video, after you comment on the video and let me know what you think about these grips, what's your favorite grip, and after you subscribe, then I want you to watch the preview I'm going to play for you right now. Sign up for the free 8-part training series, and I can't wait to see you inside, because I want to take you to the next level. Hey guys, Pete from Crunch Time Coaching. Today we've got a really cool lesson for you. We're going to teach you the super spinner boomerang drop shot. Okay guys, I gotta be honest with you, learning the super spinner boomerang drop shot is not gonna get your game to the next level in the next 12 months. And my job as your tennis coach is to help you consistently get better, see the progress, grow in your tennis game. So what we're gonna do today is a little different. We're gonna put down the racket, we're gonna put down the balls, we're gonna leave the tennis court, and we're gonna head on over to my house, and I'm gonna show you exactly, step by step, the pitfalls to avoid and what you really need to be doing over the next 12 months if you want to see your game go up to the next level. So come on, let's go.